Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. First and foremost, on behalf of the channel, we wish all our dear viewers a very happy Easter. And to commemorate the same, we are solving a Sudoku themed on the Easter day. So this Sudoku was created by MavericksJD and it is called the Holy Trinity. So the rules of the Sudoku are three rules are combined here: the killer cages rule, little killer rule, and arrow Sudoku rule as well. So the last time I made a video on Mavericks JD Sudoku, I had used a completely different solve path than what was intended by the author, and I was surprised to know this from the author. So at least in this Sudoku, I hope that I managed to find the intended solve path. So if you want to try this Sudoku out yourself, please check out the online solving link given in the description of the video, and be sure to come back and watch the video. So the rules are classic rules apply. Each row, each column and each 3x3 box will have digits 1 to 9 without repetition. Killer rules apply. Digits inside the cages can't have repeating digits and they sum up to the clue given in the top left corner. However, there are some cages where you don't have the clues. So in those cases, the non-repeating part alone applies. The little killer rules apply. In the diagonal direction pointed by the small arrow, the sum of the digits will be equal to the clue, and digits may repeat in the direction of the diagonal, the small arrow. And then arrow rules apply. The sum of the digits along the arrow stem is equal to the digit in the circle, and digits may repeat along arrow stem provided other rules are not violated. So these are the rules. Seems to be a really interesting Sudoku and very tough one too. So with that, we'll start solving this Sudoku. Okay, the first thing I notice about this Sudoku is that this cage has 9 cells in it, and we know that a killer cage does not have repeating digits, so which means that all the digits from 1 to 9 will be present exactly once. Even this cage, and this cage also contains, all these cages will all contain digits from 1 to 9 without repetitions. And we know that these cages are distributed across boxes 2, 4, 6 and 8. And if you look at boxes 2, 4, 5, 6 and 8, we know that there are exactly 5 sets of 1 to 9. That is 5 times each of the digits from 1 to 9 will be present in these boxes. And we know that out of those 5 sets, 4 sets are exactly in the red cages, right? Which means that the remaining set will be formed by the cells in green. A beautiful start to the Sudoku. So we'll somehow try to use this in our solve. So we just need to remember that this portion will also contain digits from 1 to 9, right? The green cells. So with that, we'll start solving this Sudoku. Okay, all these circles, we know that must be minimum 6 in value, because the minimum sum is 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is equal to 6. So all these cells will be minimum 6 in value. Let us write those candidates. Okay, and we know that just we saw that these cells will be having digits from 1 to 9. We have already a quadruple 6, 7, 8, 9, which means that these cells will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And now the rest of the cells in the box must be 6, 7, 8 and 9. A great start to the Sudoku, guys. A really great start to the Sudoku, which means that these 1 cell long arrows will also contain the same digits. They are just repeating digits. Okay. So if you look at the killer clues, this seems to be the minimum one. 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 2 is 3 and 6. Okay. So if you look at this small arrow and the diagonal direction pointed by the arrow, there are exactly 5 cells in it, right? So the minimum sum from these 2 cells is 3, 1 plus 2, and similarly the minimum sum from these 2 cells is 3, which is totaling up to 6 from 4 cells. And we also know that the minimum digit in this cell is 6. So which means that if you add all the minimum possible value from these cells, we are exactly reaching the total 12. So which means we can write the candidates into the cells. those must be the exact values. So this is a 6, this is a 6, which means that all these cells can't be a 6. So correspondingly we can remove 6 from all these cells, and this is also not a 6. Okay, this is 7, 8, 9, and which means that correspondingly this value is going to be 4, 5 or 6. Okay. Okay, this is also very interesting, guys. So if you look at these two cells, they would have to be present in these cages, right? Okay, let us look at the cells one by one. If you look at row 5 column 3, it has to be present in this cage, and it also needs to be present in this cage, right? So which means that this cell is not going to be present in box 4, and it also cannot be going into these green cells, right? Because then these would be same, so whichever comes here, if it goes there, there would be a clash. So which means that this cell has to be present once in column 4 and has to be present once in this cell and this cell, right? Yeah, so whichever comes here will be present once in this column, because it has to occur in this cage and this cage. So it will be present once in this column, and it should be occurring either in this cell or this cell, but it cannot go here. So which means that whatever comes here has to go here. Beautiful. I hope it's clear. So the value which comes here has to go inside these cages. So in this box it cannot go. So it has to be present in column 4 and column 5. So it goes once in column 4, and the second time it has to go either in this cell or this cell. But this is already 1 or 2, we know that. So which means that whichever comes here has to be here. Similar logic, this cell has to be, okay, I'll highlight and show you. So let me highlight this cage and this cage now. So we know that whatever comes here must be present in the red cages 2 times, and it is not going to be present in this box, right? It will be present once in column 6, and the second time it has to be present either in this cell or this cell, right? But we know that this cell cannot be a 7, 8 or a 9, because even if you have 7, the total becomes 10. So which means that this whatever comes here would have to go here. Beautiful, guys. Superb. So we are getting a quadruple now, right? If I am not mistaken. So this will also be a 7, 8 or 9. Whatever comes here has to be here, and whatever comes here has to be here. So we get a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple in the column. So which means that this will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Nice start to the Sudoku, I would say. But still we haven't got any digit. So we have some 1, 2s in the grid, right? So if this is a 1, this is a 2, and since it's in the same case, this would also be a 1, this would be a 2. So which means that both of these digits are different. Why don't we use color coding? Maybe that would be better. So if this is 1, this would be a 2, and this is in the same case, so this would be a 1 and this would be a 2, right? So if you look at row 5 column 5, it is seeing both the yellow cell and the blue cell, which means that this is not a 1 or a 2, this is 3, 4 and 5. So I also know that the blue cell must either be in this cell or this cell, and the yellow cell must either be in this cell or this cell. Why don't we make a notation of the same? So the blue is going to be in one of these two cells and the yellow is going to be in one of these two cells. So we get an invisible 1-2 pair in column 5. So which means that this cell is not going to be a 1 or a 2. So this is going to be 3, 4 or 5. So I think the 18 is appearing restricted now, right? So if I have a 1 here, this would be a 1, and the minimum value I can get here is only a 2. So both of these cells cannot be small at the same time, right? So if this is a 1, this becomes 1 and this would be 2 at least, and if this is a 2, this would be 2 and this would be a 1. So the minimum total I get from these two cells would be 3, and the minimum in this cell would be 3, so we get 6. The minimum here would be 7, so we get 13, and the minimum here would be 4, so we get 17. Okay, so we have only 1 degree of freedom in all these entities, so which means that I can remove the 9 from here because that is 2 more than the minimum possible value here. So I'll remove the 9 from that cell, because if you have a 9 there, 9 plus 4 is 13, 13 plus 3 is 16, 16 plus 3 would be 19. So I'll remove the 9 from there, so this would be 7 or 8. And this would have to be 1 or 2, and we cannot have 5 in this cell because that would be 2 more than the allowed degrees of freedom. This is not a 5, and similarly this is not a 6, right? That will be 2 more again than the allowed degrees of freedom. So now I know that 6 is not going to be in this cage and 6 is not here due to classic, so that gives me a 6 in this cell, so this would be a 6. So if I have a 7 here, this becomes minimum 8 and this would be 5, right? Oh, I can remove the 9 from here because I can't have a 6 here. 9 can be removed from this cell, right? So this is not a 9. So I have a 7, 8 pair. So if this is a 7, this becomes 8 and this becomes 5. Okay. So what we can deduce here is that the 1 degree of freedom is lost between these two cells, guys. And a really nice logic to start the Sudoku. So if I have 8 here, I've already lost my 1 degree of freedom. But if I have a 7 here, this becomes 8 and I need to have the 5 here, which means that I lose my 1 degree of freedom here. So in either case, I lose the degree of freedom in between these two cells. So which means that the rest of the cell would have to be absolute minimum. So this would be 1. This would be cannot be 1 again because you have a 1 here, both the blue cells, that gives a 2 here. This has to be minimum, this would be a 3, and so I can remove the 3 from these cells. This is not a 3, this is not a 3, this is not a 3, and I can remove the 1 from these cells, right? And also the 2. So let me remove the yellow cells now. I can remove the highlighting, so this is a 2. Okay, so there is no 2 here. So we get a 1, 4, 5 triplet, nice. So which means you will have 2, 3 here, right? So which means that this is a 3 and this is a 2. Beautiful, guys. A really nice start to the Sudoku. And this would have to be a 2, right? Because you have 1, 2 pair here, so this would have to be a 2. And I'll remove the highlighting. Okay. So now if I look at this arrow carefully, I can't have 7 for sure because 7 needs 1, 2 and 4. And I also can't have 8 because 8 needs 2, 3 and 1 more 3 would be there, which is not possible. So 6 or 9, which means this would be 1 or 4 correspondingly. Okay, that's nice. Okay, I'm seeing something narrow here, guys. So this cell can't take a 9. So if this is a 9, the 9 in box 6, right? Box 6 has to go here, and in column 6 you will not have any 9 at all. So let me show you that. So if this cell is a 9, all these cells are in the same cage, so none of these cells can take a 9, which means 9 for box 6 would have to go here. So 9 cannot go in any of these cells, and 9 cannot go in any of these cells. So which means that this cell is not a 9. A really narrow deduction. So this would be 7 or 8. Not that it is helping in any way, but let's see. So you have a 6 here, so this is not a 6, so this is 7, 8 or 9. So 6 must be in one of these two cells. Let us make a corner pencil mark. 6 is in column 7 and column 9, so 6 goes in one of these cells. Okay, so if you look at this cell, it cannot be 1, 2 and 3. and it also cannot be 7, 8 and 9, because then that would violate the arrow. So which means that the possibilities here can only be 4, 5 and 6. Okay, now I'm seeing some action going along the 19 arrow. So maybe that would help us, not sure really. Okay, so 1 is in column 6, right? So which means that 1 has to go in one of these 3 cells, and which means that I can eliminate 1 from all these cells because they are in the same cage. So 1 would have to go in all these 3 cells in box 4, and that eliminates the 1 from here. So I get a 1 here and a 4, 5 pair here. Okay. Okay, so this cell cannot be a 4, guys. So if you look at this 19 clue, if you have a 4 here, 3 plus 4 is 7, and then the minimum value from here would be 7, which is giving you 14. 14 plus the minimum value gives you 18. So you will need 1 here to get to 19, but we know that the minimum value here is going to be 2, which means that you cannot have 4 here. Because even if you have 4 and then substitute the minimum values in the rest of the cells, you won't be able to reach 19. So this is not a 4, this would have to be a 1. So let me remove the corner pencil marks. Okay. This is a 1. And now I know that 1, 2 and 3, I can place the 6 in the arrow clue. So this would be a 6, right? And this is not a 6, so this is a 7, 8 and 9. Can I change it to solution mode, guys? Let me go to solution mode, yeah. So I wasn't able to remove the corner pencil mark, so yeah. So we know that all these circles, we saw earlier that this plus symbol at the middle will have digits from 1 to 9, which means that we can remove the 6 from here. What happened? Oops. Sorry guys, I need to solve it in problem mode because it's not letting me edit in solution mode. So let me continue in problem mode. Okay, so this is not a 6, so this would be 7, 8 and 9. So I'm getting a 7, 8, 9 triplet here now. This is interesting. So 9 must be in one of these cells, right? Because all these 3 cells would have to take 7, 8, 9 triplet, and 9 must be in one of these cells, which means that this cell is not a 9. Okay, this cell is not a 9, so this is not a 9. So this would be a 7, 8. Okay. Okay, so 6 cannot be in any of these 4 cells, and 6 cannot be in any of these 4 cells, but I need to have 6 in the killer cage, right? So this would have to be a 6. Super. So I can remove the 6 from here. So this is 4 or 5. So 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. 15 plus minimum value 2 would be 17. So I have 2 degrees of freedom there. Okay. Okay, so something interesting. So I can't have anything more than 4 in these cells, right? So if I have 4 or anything more than that, 4 plus 5 would be 9 already, and I won't be able to satisfy the arrow clue. So in both of these cells, the maximum value is going to be only 3, 1, 2 and 3, right? So but 1 here removes the 1 and the 2 here removes the 2. Okay. That's nice really. So you have a 3 going inside this cage, right? So which means that none of these cells can take a 3. So the 3 in row 6 would have to be in these 4 cells, and it cannot obviously go here. So 3 would have to be in these 3 cells, so which means this is not a 3. So this is a 1. This seems to be a very tough Sudoku, guys. A really narrow deduction. So now let us try to play with these cells, maybe get something. So if this is a 7, this would be 8. This is a 7, this is a 6. And 6 plus 4 is 10, so this would be a 9. Okay, doesn't seem to be a problem. If this is an 8, this becomes 7 in value. And this is 4, so 7 plus 4 is 11, and I would have an 8 here again. Oh, that cannot happen. So this cell is not an 8, guys. Superb. So if you have an 8 here, we know that these two cells will sum up to 7, then 7 plus 4 will be 11, and you need again an 8, so that would lead to a clash. So which means that this is not an 8, so this is 7 or 9. And if I have a 7 here, this was a 9 as we saw already, so let me remove the possibilities from there. So this was a 7, 9, so if I have 7, 6 plus 4 is 10, so this would be a 9, and this would be a 9. And if I have a 9 here, these two cells sum up to 8, 8 plus 4 is 12, and I need a 7 here. Okay, superb. So I get a 7, 9 pair. So if I have a 7, this becomes 9, if I have a 9, this becomes 7. So 7, 9 pair gives an 8 here. That's nice. So that in turn gives an 8 here, a 7 here, a 7 here, a 9 here, a 9 here, and a 7 here, and an 8 here. Superb, guys. A very, very narrow, logic. So now in row 5, there is only one cell for the 9. The 9 goes here. And again, using classic, I can place the 9 here. Okay, 9 is already in this killer cage, so I'll remove the 9 from here. This is not a 9. So I have a 7, 8 pair in column 5, so this becomes 9, which means that this cell would have to be a 6. Okay, so what do I need to see next? Okay, so 1 is not going to be in the 23 cage, right, because of the 1s here. So which means that the 1 has to go outside the cells, outside the cage. So we know that in a box, in any row, column or a box, the sum of digits will always be 1 to 9, which is equal to 45. So I have 23 from 5 cells here, which means that these 4 cells will sum up to 22, out of which we have 2 digits 8 and 1, which sum up to 9. So the remaining 2 digits must sum up to 13, so which can either be 4 plus 4 plus 9 or 6 plus 7. 4 plus 9 is not possible because 9 is going inside the cage, right? So which means that the remaining cells outside would have to be 6 and 7. Okay, so I can write them straight away as center pencil marks. So they would be 1, 6 and 7. 4 and 9 is not possible. So this would be 1, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so the digits inside become 2, 3, 4, 5 and 9. Okay. Okay, I can place the 7 using classic in box 6. So 7 goes here. And using similar idea here, 1 was not in this cage, 2 is not going to be in this 25 cage, so 2 has to go outside. And we also know that these 4 cells will sum up to 20 because 25 is the sum of these 5 cells. So 7 plus 2 is 9, I need 11 more from 2 cells, which cannot be 2 and 9, which cannot be 4 and 7. So they would have to be either 5, 6 or 3, 8. Okay, so either 5, 6 or 3, 8. So let me see which is correct, I am not yet certain which one is. Oh, I can fill this arrow, guys. This is a 7. So which means that these two cells would have to be 2 and 4. Could have written this straight away. I missed this. My bad. 2, 4, 6, 7, 1 and 9. 8 is here. So this would be 8. Which means that these cells would be a 3, 5 pair. And this would be 3, 4, 5 for the row. And similarly, this would have to be 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we are getting some good progress here, guys. Okay, let me look at this column. 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 1 and 2. So this would be 4 and 6. And 2 is not here, so 2 would have to go in one of these 2 cells. And which means that using classic, I can place the 2 here. And that gives my 2 here because 2 is outside the cage. So 2 cannot be in these cells. So that gives the 2 here, which means that using classic, I can place the 2 again here and the 2 here. Right. So I can remove the 2's from here. So this is not a 7 now, so this is 1 and 6 and this would be 1, 4 and 6, right, for the column. Okay, we saw earlier that these two cells must sum up to 11 so that the outside cells sum up to 20. They can't be 2, 9 and 4 and 7, and even 5 and 6 is ruled out. So which means that they would have to be 3 and 8, and this 3 resolves this 3, 8 pair immediately. Okay, so the remaining digits for the column must be 4, 5 and 9, and this cell would also be 4, 5 and 9. Okay, I can resolve this 4, 5 pair using classic. So this is a 4, this is a this is a 5, and which means that this is a 3, 5, and I have an 8 here, so which means that these three cells must sum up to 8, and this must be a 5, and I am able to satisfy the 18 clue now, right? So which means that this 5 gives a 3 here and a 4 here, and which in turn means this would be 5, this would be 3. So for the column I have 3 cells left out, 2, 4, 7, 3, 6, 8, so they must be 1, 5, 9. Okay, and I have 1 in row 8 and 1 in row 2, which means that I get the 1 here, so these two cells must be 5, 9 pair, and which means that this would be a 6, this would be a 7 because of this one, and this would be a 1, and that gives the 1 here, classic, and that gives the 1 here again, everything classic. So 1, 7, 9, 2, 4, 8, the remaining digits must be 3, 5 and 6. Let me write those digits. So you have a 6 here, so this is 3, 5, you have a 6 in one of these cells, so this is not a 6, so this is 4, and this is not a 4. I'll remove the center pencil mark, so this becomes a 5, 9 pair, and which means this is not a 5, this is a 3 and a 6. Okay, we are getting good progress here, guys. Okay, 4 is not going in row 8, so 4 would have to be here. So let me remove that and put a 4, and that becomes a 6 now, because 6 was in one of these cells, which means that these cells become 3, 7 and 8, right? And I have I can't have the 8 here, I can't have the 7 here. So if I look at row 7, I have 6 digits, so which means that the remaining digits must be 4, 5 and 8, and 8 here removes the 8 from here, 4 is removed from here, so this would be 4, 5 and 8. Okay. Something simple am I missing here? All the arrow clues have been put, all the little killer clues have been satisfied, and okay, cage clues. Okay, we know that in killer cages digits do not repeat, right? So let us see. 2, 3, 6, 8, 9. So this cannot be 8, right? Because 8 is already in the cage. So this is not an 8. So this becomes a 7. This becomes 8. And okay, 1, 8, 2, 3, 7 and 9 and 6. So these two cells must be 4 and 5, because we need 1 to 9 in these cages. And these two cells become 3, 7, which means that this would also be 4, 5 for the column. And this would have to be an 8 now. And this would be a 9, right? So an 8 here gives a 5 here, a 4 here and a 5 here, which means that the 5 for column 1 goes in this cell, and that gives me a 9 here, which in turn gives me a 5 here and a 9 here. So this is not a 5, this is a 3, 6, which immediately gets resolved. So this is a 6, this is a 3, and these two cells must be 7, 8 now, and that also gets resolved quickly. So you have a 9, which means that these two cells must be 4 and 5, and 5 resolves that immediately. So this is 4, this is 5, and that resolves this 5, 4 pair. 7 resolves this 7, 3 pair. These two 7s give us 7 here, which in turn gives a 3 and an 8 here. And 2, 6, 8, oops, sorry. This is problem mode, right? Even the clues get eliminated. So 2, 6, 8, 1, 5, 7. So the remaining digits are 3, 4 and 9, which means that I can, let me remove the corner pencil mark. Oops. Okay, so 2, 6, 8, 1, 5, 7, remaining digits are 3, 4, 9. You have a 3 and 4 here, so this would have to be a 9. And these two cells must be 3, 4. You have a 4 here, so that gives a 4 and that gives a 3. And with that, we have completed this brilliantly themed Sudoku by MavericksJD. A very, very tough one. I'm fairly certain that this Sudoku will at least be 4 stars in difficulty. I would have given this 5 stars for sure. It's really hard solve if you ask me. The start involved seeing that These middle cells all contain digits from 1 to 9. If you look carefully here, they contain digits from 1 to 9. This was really difficult to see. And then in between, the arrow clues and the killer clues as well played its part. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed watching me solve this video. Please do share it in your Facebook feeds and with your friends who may be interested. We'll really appreciate if you do that. So enjoy Easter. We hope to see you soon again with a video. Bye bye.